Hey folks, this is Dave, and this video is going to talk about BeanZ, DayZ BeanZ specifically. A few days ago, Rocket, Dean Hall, the lead developer of DayZ and DayZ Stand-Alone, put a tweet out asking for 3D artist volunteers to help with designing some props for DayZ Stand-Alone. That tweet, coupled with the news that Heinz and Pepsi are not interested in having their brands represented in DayZ Stand-Alone, got me kind of thinking about some food items to replace the ones that are in the mod. A good number of Reddit users over on r/DayZ started coming up with their own ideas for branding for DayZ Stand-Alone. And Reddit user Glmot14 actually originally came up with the idea of Dean's Beans, and this name just kind of stuck with me because it's a pretty great inside joke without being super immersion breaking. It's something that most players probably would not even notice. And I thought it would be kind of fun to actually create a design based off of this idea and build an actual model and get it in a real game engine, in this case, CryEngine 3. Some of you may have seen my post on Reddit detailing my initial design for the can. I had a lot of great critiques that went on in the comments, and I've since gone back and revisited the base metal texture as well as the normal or bump map, and I've actually got it into CryEngine 3. So I'm going to start out by taking you guys through my design process, and then we'll take a look at how the can of beans looks in one of the most awesome game engines out there. Keep in mind that this is not anything official, I just thought it would be a fun project. Dean's Beans just kind of stuck with me as a great idea, like a great jumping off point for a parody. I'm like, this thing has potential. It may not be different enough to not avoid some copyright issues, but I mean, come on, it's just too funny not to use. I drew the logo design using Adobe Illustrator so that it's actually vector art, and this means that I can very quickly and easily change all of the text and the colors as well as the shapes. So if this ends up being something that Rocket would actually be interested in using for DayZ, but it's still kind of treading on that trademark infringement area, it's pretty easy to go in and switch things around and make it a bit more different. For the initial texture though, I just went with a straight parody of the Heinz logo. I didn't spend a whole lot of time on the high polygon model because it is just basically a can. I made about a 3500 polygon cylinder, and I designed the little snap cap on top as well, and I used these to bake all of the high polygon details into a normal lighting map for my texture for the low resolution in-game can. This is what the final normal map looks like after it's been baked in 3D Studio Max. The colored pixels that you see here allow game engines to light the individual pixels of the texture as if they were polygons. Here you can see the flat texture on a single flat plane with some simple lighting applied to it. All of the depth that you see here is completely faked using that normal map. With the high polygon model bake complete, it was time to get texturing. Now, a lot of this base metal texture was not present in my original Reddit post. I had just a very simple metal texture. I'm going to go ahead and show you here what I've gone back and done, and that's actually repaint the metal texture from scratch. After exporting the logo base from Adobe Illustrator, here's how it came together in Photoshop. One of my favorite suggestions from the Reddit post was adding in some tears in the label on the can. And I went ahead and added that in today by masking in some of that base metal and adding an intermediate rough paper layer, and that kind of gives that rough torn edge feeling. For the top and bottom of the can texture, I went ahead and used the normal map to create an overlay, a lighting overlay, to give detail to my metal base. And of course, what's an old abandoned can of beans without a little bit of rust? I used a Wacom tablet to go ahead and paint some rust details in there, and I tried to mask the rust details to where I kind of thought the rust might form from the moisture of this can sitting on a shelf somewhere. Bob Ross painted happy trees, but I just kind of paint happy rust. Next, I used some Photoshop masks in a program called Crazy Bump to create some very simple normal maps of all the damage and detail from our texture, and then I went ahead and combined those in Crazy Bump into our main normal map and mixed the maps together for the best lighting effect. I should note here that I intentionally exaggerated the normal map in order for the details to stand out more in-game in our final result. once I resized my absolutely massive source texture down to a more reasonable 256 by 256 pixels, it's time to go ahead and get this thing into CryEngine 3. So if you guys like the idea of Dean's Beans, be sure to like and share this video and try to get it around and see if we can see what Rocket thinks of it. Thanks for watching, guys, and here are Dean's Beans in CryEngine 3.